Welcome to another episode of Fabricate. I'm Eric, and in this episode we're going to be talking about weathering. I made a video about weathering with the Hylian shield from Zelda, and it is the most watched video that we have on our page, on our channel. Thank you so much for that. It's really awesome, and it makes me feel like you guys want to see more, and so I'm making more. This episode is going to go into a little bit more detail about doing certain things, physical weathering, as well as paint, rust, applying Fuller's Earth, that sort of thing. So stay tuned, and we'll show you how to turn this into this.
What the?
So now that I've come to terms with the fact that I may be a clone, let's get started. So I'm starting with a regular piece of EVA foam, and we are going to do some damage on this thing, scoring and that kind of thing, with a soldering iron. I want to make, you set it down on there and it's gonna melt it. You can use the tip, you can also use this part of it. So now we have the sides done. I'm gonna go ahead and do some more damage in different places. I'm gonna go ahead and make a bullet mark on it, like this was maybe a plate of armor for something that's been shot. And there you have it. That's doing damage with a soldering iron. It works really well to just give that texture and everything. And you're going to add more effects with paint afterwards. But it goes pretty much from this to this. So between now and the last step, I covered the EVA foam with a coat of Mod Podge, and then I painted it with a gray acrylic paint, and then coated it with another coat of Mod Podge. You're going to need that second coat for the next step, which is called black washing. So for black washing, we are going to need some black acrylic paint, is what I use, and water in a cup with a paintbrush. I'm using a pretty broad tipped brush because I'm really just going to be going, big broad strokes, super messy. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to take, I use a paper plate, put a little bit of black acrylic on there, and then you could do this two ways. You can either get a separate container and mix a little bit of water in there, or you can do what I do, where I just put a little bit of water onto my brush before, then dip it in here, make it nice and liquidy. Then you're gonna take your piece of EVA foam and you're gonna cover it with black. Then you're going to immediately, before it is able to dry, we're going to want to take a napkin and wipe it off. And there you go. It adds a lot of grime in there. It gets into the details, the little cracks and crevices and all that stuff, and makes it just stand out, so it looks a lot more worn and dirty and weathered. The reason that we put a second coat of Mod Podge on top of the acrylic paint is because that wouldn't have been as easy to wipe off if we had just done that on top of the acrylic paint. It would have kind of mixed together even if it was dry. So that was the reason for that. So we've gone from this to this at this point. You can see the difference in texture. You can see, you know, this is without the Mod Podge and everything. This has kind of a sheen to it, and I used matte Mod Podge. And so from here, we are going to go ahead and do the metallic weathering to it. So for this next portion, we are going to add some metallic look to it, where, you know, it's kind of whatever the coat of paint that was on this before is worn down, and all of that. So we want to make it look like it's just the raw, buffed out, shiny metal. And for that, we are going to use this metallic wax. The name brand version of this is called Rub and Buff. This is actually a little bit cheaper for a larger amount. And it is just this waxy silver stuff here. I'm gonna be applying it with a sponge. You can also apply it with a paper towel or your finger, but I'm gonna use a sponge. So we're gonna go ahead and dab this in here a little bit. This is called metallic wax. So you wanna, it has an interesting texture to it, almost a creamy texture to it, not really waxy, but. So we're gonna go to the spots that, and you wanna be kind of light with this. We're gonna go to the edges and everything and just rub this on so it gives it that nice worn metal kind of sheen. So that's basically that portion of it. Now it actually looks more like a chunk of metal. You can see all the scratches and everything. It looks really cool. But what I want to do next is add some rust, because this piece of metal is looking, it looks good, but I wanted to make it look like it's been sitting out in the rain for a while or something like that. So we're gonna go to the rust, the next step. So for the next step, we're going to try to make this look like it's been rusted. Applying rust is just, you know, look at stuff that's been rusted, that you've seen that's rusty, and we're gonna go around the edges and, you know, just add it wherever it looks good. First we gotta figure out the rust coloring and everything. So basically for rust, I tend to use this brown acrylic, which is actually Bark Brown by Folk Art. This is just an orange, you know, a true bright orange. And then I also use this burnt orange. It's kind of an in-between. So these three different colors kind of turn into each other. And we're gonna start with the darker of the browns. So here, don't need too much. So now, this is my technique that I've been using, and that is to use sand. This is a very fine sand that I actually bought at Hobby Lobby. I think it was in the section for like models, like little dioramas and stuff like that, and trains and stuff. I'm gonna take a little bit of that pretty fine sand, and I'm going to mix it with this brown. You're going to want to kind of dry brush it, so a little bit of stippling in the areas that you think the rust would be. So at this point, I'm going to switch to my burnt orange color. And again, we're going to be wanting to do dry brushing at this point. So make sure that you are getting some on your brush and then tapping a bunch of it off. You can also do this with a paper towel, but for this, I don't like it to be too dry. So now we have this rust coming from the side. You can actually go over the metallic part a little bit, because, you know, rust kind of can pretty much encompass something, and you want it to look like it's creeping in. So this doesn't have a very defined paint color. Otherwise, I would say use harder edges around the rust where this would be painted, you know, like it's metal that's been painted white. You're going to want to go back and do some harder edges with that white. Make sure that white looks dirty, but you want it to look, you know, like these harder edges around there, because that's kind of how, you know, paint flakes away. So you want to make it look like it's on top. Now, if you want a little bit more of a bright color in there, you can go ahead and put some orange. So you can just, you know, just a little bit here and there with the brighter orange. So now you have, you know, this really nice rust kind of going around the outside of it and everything. And this is starting to look like a rusty chunk of metal. I'm gonna go ahead and add, just because I want to, a little bit more rust on it. I love rust. All right, so now we've got this awesome rusty chunk of metal. We are going to do the final step, and that is a new thing that I've discovered that really makes it look cool. We're gonna add some Fuller's Earth to it. This next portion is something, I use something called Fuller's Earth, and be very careful with this stuff because you don't want to breathe in too much of it. I would recommend using some sort of respirator or something when you're using it, but it's basically this very fine powder. So you're going to want to go ahead and sprinkle it on just a little bit here and there, and that's good enough. Then you're going to go ahead and take a paintbrush and kind of brush it around on there. This is going to sort of dull everything out just a little bit. And finally, to dull the rust, and you know, rust, if you've ever touched it before, it'll come off in like a powder on your hand. I'm using something called Texas Dirt Powder. Let's see if I can get it. It's called Texas Dirt Powder. It is by Mehron or Mehron. I don't know how to say that. And I'm going to use a little tiny bit of it right here. And I'm going to load that up onto a brush, and then I'm going to go over the rusty areas with it a little bit. And that's it. That's how I do rust metal. That's how I make it look damaged. And I think it works pretty well. It looks pretty good in the end. So that's that portion. Big chunk of rusted metal. This is heavy. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this before September 2nd, that is the weekend of San Japan. I will be there doing a panel about all of this stuff that I'm talking about right now. Some of this video is actually going to be used in the panel. So if you are in San Antonio or around San Antonio or going to San Japan, please stop by my panel and check it out. I don't know the day or time yet, but it will be on the schedule when that's released. So thanks for watching. If you felt like this was helpful, please like and subscribe and comment and all of that other stuff. And we'll catch you next time.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. That's really nice of you. You should probably watch some of these other videos that we got. There's just Nerds of the Round and Fabricate, just some cool stuff. There's Jen in the background. So yeah, just click on one of those over there. Click on that button that says subscribe to subscribe to the videos that we're doing. Yeah, you should probably do that already. What are you doing? Just not doing that. It's kind of, you should do it. Oh wait. Doctor Who is on. It's a good show.